Okay, so I'm going to briefly ramble about my training again. Um, Things were going well towards the end of January. I was doing um, a lot of volume, and the weights were moving well um, in both the squat and the snatch and clean. I haven't been doing as many jerks lately, just because to be honest, I've been more enjoying doing snatches and cleans. Um, Going forward, I think I'll incorporate more jerks just to, not lose any skill acquisition in that movement. Um, but towards like the last week of January, um, I hit what I think is a volume PB of three sets of 10 in the back squat at 325 pounds. I think that's like 147 kilos or something like that. That was unexpected and it went really well. And I also did maybe a day or two before that a set of 4 in the clean at I think 107 kilos, 235 pounds. I've been enjoying the higher volume sets in cleans lately. I used to just kind of do like doubles and some triples, but I've been trying to do some sets of 4 and maybe even have thought to incorporate some sets of 5 in the clean and the snatch too, to a lesser extent, mostly in the power snatch. But I think I've been enjoying 4s in the clean, and then tragedy struck on January 31st. Actually, that was the day and that morning I did the 3x10 at 147. And I've got videos of these I'll post after I put this up. But the reason I haven't been putting up videos lately is because after I did that on the 31st of January, we had gotten like a historical snowfall here in the upstate, in the Carolinas, and ended up getting like 10 plus inches of snow, good snow, stuff that we don't see a whole lot down here. And I just had an itch to go sledding. I hadn't gone sledding in years and just wanted to do that. So a friend and I went and did that. And while I was doing that, I ended up injuring my pointer finger on my left hand. My finger got caught between me and a very short wall and got a pretty deep cut that required 5 stitches. Didn't break anything, thankfully, but it was very swollen, obviously stitched up, couldn't lift, couldn't snatch, clean, or jerk for a couple of weeks at least. Like I had to have the stitches in for 2 weeks. So I was able to do other stuff. Like I could still do leg workouts like I had been doing, squatting and hypertrophy work, and just was able to do some more or less bodybuilding style training for any of my upper body movements. Did a lot of pressing, a lot of machine work, just whatever I could muster with the finger. And then after about 2.5 weeks, I finally started to do the movements again, to snatch and clean and jerk. And that is the longest time that I have gone without snatching or clean and jerking since I started to do this, over 10 years ago, around 10 years ago or so. I trained just general training for a couple years, starting at whenever I was 18 and a freshman in college. and it kind of got interested in powerlifting a little bit. I just did a lot of squat, bench, and deadlift. And then whenever I was like 20 or 21, found weightlifting through Clarence, like a lot of people. Started to watch his videos and was just like, man, this is cool. I want to do this. Started to train. And since then, I would say I was 20 or 21. Since then, I have not done any other style of training. It's purely been weightlifting. I'm 31 now, so around 10 years. In those 10 years, I've never gone more than a week without doing the lifts. And I think the only time I really went a week without doing the lifts was when a trip I took and didn't have access to a gym. So definitely was weird. Getting to come back and do the lifts after, that long of a break, which, to be fair, that's not a long time. It was like less than 20 days. But it gave me a good perspective. It gave me a better appreciation for just the privilege to be able to go and lift all the time. It is a privilege. And I'm fortunate that I'm able to do that. But, I'm just happy to be able to be back and doing that. The break didn't really set me back that much, I would say. The first day back, I was expecting to feel, disconnected from the bar and had lost a lot of, at least not a lot, but some muscle memory and movement patterns. But, it came back pretty quickly. Strength is still more or less there because I was able to still do a lot of strength movements. Squatting, at least. I couldn't do any pulls, obviously, with my finger how it was. But now, I've trained for a little over a week at least, maybe 10 days or so without any restrictions. And I can tell, I've gotten, I'll be back if I'm not already back to where I was when this happened, on the 31st. So not a big obstacle, not a big wrench thrown into things. Still in a good place, I think, training wise. Kind of moving forward, I've been doing tens ever since, whenever I posted that video about, I can't even remember when that was. I feel like it was in December sometime, but I've been doing tens in the squat ever since then, which has been good. But I think I've kind of hit a point where it's a little bit diminishing returns, at least for now. Like, I think would be better for me to start to do some lower rep ranges and push weight a little more. I was trying to do 150 for tens after I did the 3x10 with 147, and I just couldn't get it. I did some sets of 9, did some sets of 8, and I just could never find a day where I could do even one set of 10. And I don't know if that was just, I didn't have a good mindset for it because I was dealing with the finger thing. And that did kind of, it affected like my upper back position a little bit in the back squat because I couldn't fully grip the bar with my left hand. But, I don't know if that was what inhibited me from doing tens with 150. I feel like I just didn't necessarily have the leg strength for that. Or at least definitely not to do a 3x10. I feel like I could at least eke out one set of 10 now with a fully, normal grip and upper back position. But, anyway, I think I'm going to move on now to doing like rep ranges from 4 to 6 in the back squat. I would really want to try and clean, 140 or 145 within the next, month or two. I really thought that I was in a place where I felt like I could potentially do that before this finger injury. I'd done a double with 125, had planned on trying to do a double with 130, and if I double 130, then I was going to try and do, anything between 140 and 145 just as a single on the clean. I had no intention of trying to do a jerk with it, just because, like I said, I wasn't hammering the jerk as much as I was the clean or snatch. And to be honest, I've just been enjoying the clean more than any other movement right now. But these things happen. It's a freak accident. I'm just thankful that it wasn't worse than what it was. I could have easily broken that finger. Thankfully, that didn't happen. And I can go back. I can grip a bar still, so that's good. But I'm going to post the stuff that I was doing before and have been doing since. And hopefully we just get back to regularly scheduled programming. So thanks for tuning in.